The Order of Faith is the sole religious authority in the ArchLand Confederacy and one of the only centralized institutions in it. It is the shepherd of the masses. The Order of Faith is led by the Évêque, who is deemed as infallible and elected to the position by the elector kings. All rulings made by the Évêque are final and dogmatic and must fall in line with the past traditions of the Order of Faith. Any deviations are seen as impossible. The Évêque is seen as the mouthpiece of the gods and the ancestors and speaks their will through the mouth of the Spirit. The entire organization is made up of a hierarchical structure in descending order of size. The exarchates comprise the territories of each great house, the provinces, sector-scale congregations, the ordinariates, sub-sector organizations, the admins, system-sized groupings, and finally the monde, congregations of individual worlds. There are literally no differences between ceremonial and liturgical structure to each house of faith, with the only differences being size and scale or ornamentation. Once an individual is crescended into the Order of Faith, they are welcome within any house of faith. The clergy of the Order of Faith is a dizzying structure of deacons, priests, confessors, chaplains, sub-bishops, bishops, archbishops, purdoles, cardinals, high cardinals, electors, and finally, the Évêque. All clergy are required to remain celibate without exception. Any deviation from this will be met with immediate expulsion. The Order of Faith preach that the galaxy was created by a creator deity known as Deu, and his children, lesser gods known as Dieu, represent different aspects of nature and society such as agriculture, war, the stars, craftsmanship, navigation. Each family or individual may pick a patron god to worship and deify. The Order of Faith also teach that all those who have died and come before are within the seal, the domain of Deu, who protects their souls from the demons of the Netheric realm. The Archlandi effectively worship their ancestors that came before them, deifying their deeds and actions as actions guided by Deu and his children. If one of these ancestors is deemed to be incredibly important by the legalist, they may be canonized as a greater saint, usually done by higher authority of a council of high cardinals, or a lesser saint, recognized by lay people or lower clergy. Most groups in the galaxy have greater or lesser saints canonized into the Archland pantheon, such as the dwarves of Rivendell, elves of Ulna, Nemerium, and Kondios, and all 12 tribes of man, excluding the modern Brotherhood. Interestingly enough, Vitalian was originally categorized as a greater saint by the legalist, and was even considered to be classified as a dieu. However, due to the founding of Endarium Church and their completely different faith, structure, practices, and beliefs, Vitalian was excluded from the pantheon, only to remain a lesser saint due to the legalists' inability to assert influence on Endarius. Cathedrals often have dedicated statues to minor gods, or any saints they have been concreted to, and there are statues, candles, chanting, and highly structured worship. There usually is a large instrument present during these occasions known as parole, and a calendar that has remained unchanged for almost 12,000 years. The things said in liturgy, as well as homilies, are in the language of ancient Archlandi, which was the language spoken during the time of the Four Brothers, and all music is sung in ancient Archlandi. Salvation is understood as a process of actions and honorifics to the gods and the ancestors, but only attained through works and good deeds, and can actually be lost if one strays too far from the path established by the Order of Faith and legalist. They teach that the goal of each and every person is to honor and worship the men and women who came before and preserve the traditions established by the Archland people millennia ago. This is a lifelong pursuit called dischargement or advocation. There are no internal divisions or separate ways of thinking between clergy, as any deviation from established legalist rulings and such new perspectives are deemed as heterodox and are grounds for expatriation or disordination. The Order of Faith considers itself the interpreter of the Écrits, a truly massive collection of writings made up of the musings, writings by the dieu, saints, messengers, and ancient clergy, which are made up of over 1,579 different manuscripts of varying lengths, with some believed to even be lost to history and time. These musings are not the sole final authority. The Order of Faith under the Évêque is also authoritative.